You're listening to episode 45 of the Confident Rider podcast with Jane Pike. I'm super excited because I am here with two of my favourite people, Kari and Carolyn from Equine Connection, who I did my Equine Assisted Learning certification with inadvertently. I did it in Australia with Jane, but you guys are the reason that I was there. So welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you so much. We are so excited to be on this podcast with you because you are one of our favorite people as well.
Isn't that lovely?
And it's not
the cycle of love.
Seriously. And it's not because you've been certified with us. It's because you have something that you created long before we even came along, and it just beautifully worked together so that it supported everything that you were doing, but you are already a very successful businesswoman. So it's very exciting to work with you.
Thank
and
you.
You're our
I
kind
really
of
appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're my
grounded, humble.
I know. It's like afterwards we would just go out for a drink or have a coffee or something. It's no problem. Yeah.
Totally.
Roll with it. So equine assisted learning has become quite the thing over the last few years, or something that you're hearing more about. And I know in conversations that I have with people that I work with, or just generally, it's in the vernacular, like it's in the conversation. But people still, if they were asked to describe it, they're like, I'm not quite sure what exactly it is. So do you want to enlighten those of us who are perhaps in that slightly grey area of like, no, it's a thing, not quite sure what it's a thing for?
The hardest part about that is that equine assisted learning is very vast, and people do it in a lot of different ways, with a lot of different titles, and it ends up totally being exactly what you said, very muddied and gray area as to what it is. So we'll talk more about like our form, I think is probably the easiest way. And we are equine assisted learning where the horse is the teacher. And that is really the shortest, simplest way to put it, because we aren't using horses as tools within our programs.
No.
They are the teachers. They are the ones who give us all of the step-in moments, who really inspire all the people to do all of their learning as well. So it really is essential that they are thought of that way within our form of equine assisted learning. But equine assisted as a whole just means with a horse, right? So anytime you're doing any learning with a horse, that's equine assisted learning or development or whatever.
Coaching. It can be any of those items as long as it's, again, equine assisted. However, there is big differences with a lot of certifications out there as well. And I still say the number one thing that we have discovered, because we agree with you, there are so many different forms of it now, is we'd never used the horse, so they're not a tool in any of our programs. They literally, you partner with the horse, and we don't step in to fix the human psyche. We step in when the horse says something is happening, and then we allow that client to be able to figure out the answer to themselves, because as soon as they make a change, they see what happens because of the horse versus a human just yipping away, talking away.
And as someone that's been on the other side of that, going through the training process when I was in Sydney, it's always astounding. Like literally it does have that kind of like gravity to it, what people take away, especially, well, not always, but especially if they haven't had any association with horses, that kind of like undercurrent of what gets picked up always blows my mind.
I know. And every time. And I know even because it's life skills. So our certification is always building on life skills. So it's a building block, if you will. Every time our clients come, they learn a new skill to make themselves stronger, make themselves being able to move forward in their lives without having to second doubt everything, because they've got those beautiful skills really strong within. But, even for us being the instructors, we have so many of us horse people who are astounded every time we run these programs. Most of the things we always hear is we cannot wait to get back to our horse to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear what you were trying to say.
There's a thing we need to clear the air on here. I've come back different. Even I remember, now not making it all about me, but just the one experience we had with a group of teenage boys who were going through some stuff. And they come with this huge energy, like there's this big boy kind of masculine, tough guy energy, and there's banter going on. And even though you're really working to maintain, complete impartiality, you're still human. And now I'm there thinking, whoa, okay, right, I'm cool, this is sweet, no worries, like I can do this. And how that mask of or bravado and toughness like melts away at the point, like at the end of the discussion where they're asked to kind of give reflections. I was quite like, really, it was a huge moment for me to recognize that gift that they're able to get. And it stayed with me ever since. Like I find that completely, I can get to the same word, really profound.
Exactly. And it's so humbling, isn't it?
It is.
Be privy to be a part of helping a human to make a change, but it's because the horse is doing it. And it's so humbling when you see these beautiful human beings just being, wow, magic, if you will. Mm-hmm. But it's magical to them that these living beings love them and care for them. And that's always the takeaway with these guys.
And I always find like we've been doing this for a long time, 2009. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been doing this for a long time. And even when we first started, nobody had heard of this. Like it wasn't a thing. You told people that you were working with horses and learning from horses, and they looked at you like,
nice.
That
was exactly a pat you on the head.
Yeah, pat on the top of the head. In fact, when Kari told me what she was doing, I did the same thing to her. So
yeah, she did.
But even this many years later, like we just had a program yesterday, and even still at the end of each program, our minds are blown. We are doing our little happy dances from what people are taking away. And it's still so gratifying to see how they can change lives every single day. And every program, although it's the same program, maybe is different because it's different stimulus to the horse, and it's allowing them to learn in their own specific ways and allowing the horse to teach as they need to teach throughout it as well. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I need a moment.
I love it too, because we're not making our horses stay there or be there, and it's that form of delivery. So it's a beautiful structured system. And I think that's why it's so healthy. And again, the benefit and the welfare of the horse is always the paramount. So, you have that solid maybe 35, 40 minutes that you literally work with them. Mm-hmm. But then the other components to it is we're actually briefing and debriefing it and helping them to allow those changes to their lives.
And again, that's our form of EAL. That's not across the board. There's many that they're going out to work with horses one-on-one, and there maybe isn't a specific thing that they're going for. There's lots and lots of different ways. And not to say one is bad or good or anything else, because anytime you're doing good stuff with horses and horses are being well taken care of and people get to learn, it's all good stuff. Yeah. But at the same token, we speak to how ours is that objectively driven part, because that's something that matters a ton to us when we are telling other people about the program. We want them to be able to know that you're gaining a specific skill when you're leaving. Because it's that armor skills you build for your life, essentially.
Mm-hmm. And it's very much a facilitation, isn't it? It's not like you landing all your stuff on the horse and then being like this dumping ground for emotional baggage that's coming. It's not about that.
Absolutely. Most we don't know all of the obviously certifications that exist out there, nor do we want to know.
Yeah. Please don't email us.
No. But you really want, like globally, I wish we would all work for the welfare of the horse, because there has been, definitely a couple of different certifications that we've heard of, and we've seen pictures and we're like, oh, look at that poor horse. That horse is so distressed and the people around him are happy. And we're like,
they don't even get it.
They're not working with the horse. So, it's so important that we really understand what it is that's good for the insides of us. If a certification matches for us, it's going to make, I think, a lot of sense for us. Mm-hmm. And, look at those websites. Look at the pictures of the horses. I think that's the number one thing I would always suggest to people in any equine assisted. Go take a look at these websites. See if pictures are displaying of the horse first. Mm-hmm. People second, because you got to see the horse first.
And I think that's for if you're going to find a program as a client, or if you're learning to do it as your own career one day, if you want to be certified. Either way, look at what you're getting into. And I think equine, and I think we're probably going to end up touching on this anyway, but equine assisted learning and equine therapy get very muddied across the board. And so people should really know, even as a client, to go in and work with these programs, which one you're getting into, because they should be very different.
Because they are very different.
Yes. Yeah.
But
let's go there now and talk about the differences between those two things.
The biggest is the word therapy.
So that's it.
Yeah. So we are not therapists. So we do not run a therapy program. We know that being around horses is therapeutic. Everybody who has ever worked with a horse knows that our hearts sync up. They help us breathe better, and they help us to do so many things. Being with them is therapeutic. However, therapy means a human being is dealing with another human being in the mind, right?
The psyche.
If you are not certified to do these things, I'm about to hop on a soapbox. Get ready for it. If you are not certified to be messing with somebody's brain, do not do it, because it's the same as asking somebody who's not an electrician to wire your house.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. They shouldn't be touching it, and they might miswire something.
Yes.
And that's bad.
It's very bad.
Yes. So that's the biggest difference is if it says therapy, it should actually be therapy. If you are not a therapist, you should be running equine assisted learning programs where you're allowing the horse to be the teacher and that part as well.
And understanding, though, that if you are going into an equine assisted learning, you are facilitating. You're not telling someone what to do. You're not giving them suggestions or ideas, even in what to do, because otherwise you're kind of being a therapy person for the people, and you can't do that if you are not qualified with a degree to be able to touch the old brain skills.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Really great point.
Even if you look at things like hippotherapy, which is another form of equine assisted therapy, because people are riding the horses, but it's to help with muscle structure and help loosen up joints and that kind of thing for people who have various debilitating diseases, basically. And it's a phenomenal way for these people to work. But again, they have to be properly certified in order to be able to run those programs for people, because otherwise you're investing in something you shouldn't be if you don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a huge amount of responsibility and discernment and needs to go into
ethics. And you know, that is one of the scary pieces we definitely feel globally right now is there's no policing for a lot of these certifications that are out there. And how do we know what we're doing? Like, you can put a shingle up on your barn, open for therapy, equine assisted therapy. And it's like, what do you mean? You took a 2-day course. How can you even use the word therapy in that? Unless you are a degree, then you can't. But even 2 days would never do it either.
No.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And there's lots of little certifications you can get online saying that you've taken some sort of psychology course. I just signed up for a $14.99 4-hour certification. So it's accredited. That says that I am going to have like an accredited certificate in some sort of psychology after this.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Carolyn. That's a massive step.
I skipped my master's and everything else, went straight for the 14. Don't all of you with your degree.
Book me in. Yeah. So even behind your program, in terms of the blocks that form a part of the specific exercises that you guys run through as part of the facilitation process, there's been a huge amount of research and practice and, you know, run-throughs of how people learn and the different ways that people learn. Do you want to speak a little bit to that and the different kind of aspects that touches on within the process?
Sure. So there was a 5-year research study that was done on this specific curriculum of programs. We should mention too that how these were created was by this beautiful woman named Tamara McKinnon.
She's got a very strange brain, but it's a beautiful brain.
Yes. She brings information together that the rest of us could not do these things, but she has the brain to do it.
But she took all the stuff that's already been done and researched. So that's why she's so brilliant. So how do human beings learn? She took that research piece, and then she took how do wild horses actually communicate, and then she actually married the two to develop her building block curriculum so that there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's always a form of delivery that every program that we run that has an objective to it is done in a certain time frame, because that's how humans can only learn. So she's placed everything in so that it makes logical sense to any organization or client that we're working with, that there's going to be a result after. It's like we can guarantee a result, but we don't like to use the word guarantee, but she has designed the programs to have a predictable outcomes each and every time. So if we facilitate it properly, And if we actually listen to the horse, who's literally the teacher, we're not. That's when we have that success of having a result. And of course, the paralleling piece.
Yeah, everything that the people learn in the arena is brought back to everyday life. So we can't just go out in the arena, hang out there with the horses, and then expect that they're going to glean some information that's going to make total sense to their life in that moment.
Yeah.
We really have to be able to bring it back into a debrief session where we help them to parallel, okay, this is what happened with the horse. How does that work for you?
Yeah.
So they can really start to put the pieces together. And that's just like Kari said, there's the fundamental principles, the form of delivery, because without that, it's left very open as to what people can get from it. But if we want them to get to a specific outcome, we have to have a structure in place to do that. And then we facilitate the rest through.
Yeah, and that was another, I've got to come up with a new vocabulary, but that was another amazing aspect of the process for me, in that the extrapolations that people did make between what they learned in the arena and their everyday life, it was like, wow, like that's huge. Like we're talking marriages, we're talking relationships with their bosses, their kids, like really deep stuff about how they behave or show up in the world. And I was just sitting there, after a while it sort of becomes like, oh, of course you're thinking that. This is incredible. Well, welcome to the world of EAL. But in the, it's like, whoa.
It's astounding.
And
it
sometimes,
really is.
Sometimes it's totally random as well, because we had one lady who came in and she had like a big thing happen in the course. And at the end of the debrief, she's like, I figured out I have to clean my room. And we're like,
yes,
okay. Like we had no idea all right. But then she came in the next session and explained why cleaning her room was like her first step in her sobriety, essentially, to her new life, to cleaning out all of the crap that she didn't need anymore. And it was so profound. And even the first time we were like, okay, you clean your room, way to be. Explained it. We were like, wow, that is unbelievable what they take from it.
No, and that was built your own course.
It was.
So it was kind of preparing her, like being creative, and how would you design and build this? Well, I guess situation. And she took it to her life and her bedroom.
Yeah.
It was her bedroom that needed to be cleaned.
Wow.
Yeah. I know it seems little, but it's not little.
Yeah. Huge. Yeah. I remember a group of school kids, primary age school kids, and one of the boys that was going through, I can't remember what pattern or process they were doing, but at the end he came away and said how he'd been giving his mum a really hard time, how he'd been making it really hard for her, basically, like, and I don't know whether that was like a conscious thing or he just realised how he'd been, inadvertently making it really hard for her, and his reflections were how he was going to go home and change his behavior, basically. And it was just, I was like, wow, that the other thing that I realized was the maturity of thought processes for children that often we don't give that level of credit to is actually amazing.
Give them a voice. The biggest thing that anybody in this world wants is to feel heard, right?
Totally.
And kids don't always get that. And especially you look at youth at risk, very rarely are they genuinely heard. So for them to be able to feel like the horse is hearing everything that they say, plus to be able to have that reflection time that is just their own at the end as well, and be genuinely heard by the facilitators and their peers, it's phenomenal how much of a change you can make for them to get to the next place and to say valuable pieces, right?
And that they are a gift to the world. I think is one of our most favorite things is when they say, I am special.
Yeah.
I can do this. If I can move 1,200 pounds, I can do anything. And we're like,
yeah. Power to the people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can. I'm not crying. You're crying.
Yeah. You're the soft one, not me. Yeah. I know. I've got all the stories popping into my head now, but I do want to say this one, which was, at the end, they choose the word, right? Like the word that reflects the experience. And it was either truth or honesty that this little boy picked. And he said that what he liked most about the experiences were the horses were completely honest with him. And because they were completely honest with him, it made him feel safe, which I thought was such an interesting thought and so profound, in that how often do we like buffer the edges of our child's experience or try to say things which aren't 100% the truth with good intention to like protect them or do something else. And actually the fact that there was something like the horse that was 100% reliable to him made him feel safe, and it was so beautiful. So beautiful. So how did you guys get to be doing this then? What was the entry point for you?
Well, for myself, I had always dreamt of working with horses ever since I was a wee little girl, and my mom was a single mom. So we traveled 25 times between states or provinces, however you guys relate to that. Anyway, so
prairies.
She always promised me a horse. She could never afford it. She was a single mom, never could afford it, but she bought me this 25-cent garage sale horse book. Freaking fell in love. Now, all my life, even though it never directed me to be with horses, except for, I did have a horse when I was 18, so I could do some pleasure riding. But then I sold the horse to get married to what? Buy a wedding dress. Now, that marriage did not work out, so I want you to understand that was not a good decision.
This is the biggest lesson of this podcast.
A wedding dress. Anyways, just as I've always been an entrepreneur, but I was craving something, because one thing I always know is I'm going to die, and I can die today. So I really try to live in that moment, just like horses do, that don't take it for granted. So what are you doing on earth, Kari? What's the purpose piece to your life? And don't get me wrong, we all have purpose, but I was looking for something so much deeper. And I worked with helping women cover and be beautiful on the outside of themselves. It was a fabulous business. I loved it, but it's a material thing. I wanted to go away from all material things and find something purposeful. So the horse came into my life again, but I'm like, how do you do this? Like, what can I do? I don't want to do riding lessons, because I think people who give riding lessons need a lot of patience. Don't have that kind of patience. And I just wasn't sure what that was going to look like until, Equine Assisted Learning. I saw it in a little magazine. I went out. At the time, it actually took me almost a year to get certified. And it was $12,000 by the time I flew back and forth to get certified. But I tell you, it took me a long time to know for sure if this was for me. So I went there, and I think this is nice. I really like this. I feel that I could do something like this. But then when I went away from it, I thought, no, I think you need to be a trainer. So it took me a while
and it was online.
And it was on, you could do a lot of it online. And I didn't understand, how could you possibly, I didn't understand how the horse was the teacher.
How are you going to facilitate experiential learning without experience?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I kept flying.
It's a logical question. Yeah.
Seriously. So anyways, by the time it was said and done, I finally made the decision that, yes, this is totally for me. And how I knew it was for me, I go to bed at night and I go to sleep. I don't worry. I don't think about things that I can't control, because I can't control it. Even when my daughters were teenagers and driving and drinking's involved, I didn't think about it, because nothing else I can do now. I raised them.
Good girls.
They're good girls, but I couldn't worry about them. So
shout out to Carson. I know her personally. That's a great girl. Yeah.
Isn't she fabulous?
She is fabulous. Yeah.
Anyways, the last time I went to figure out if this was for me, I was in so much pain in my neck, and I couldn't even move anything. I was so sore, and I thought, I must have absorbed and just took everything in. So that's how I actually knew that this was the business for me. But then I needed help. This was the one thing. I knew I could not do this business by myself. This was going to be the last job, that my last breath on earth that I was going to do. Is going to be something that now affects a human being versus a material item. But I knew nothing about technology. So, of course, then little Carolyn. That's right. Yeah. I asked her to join the team, but like I say, she did the little, that's very nice.
Yeah. I'm doing this thing with horses, and they're going to work with people, and they're going to learn stuff, and it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to love every second. I'm like, that sounds real sweet.
What a lovely hobby.
Yeah. Isn't that nice? And my background with horses previous to all this was literally like doing a pony ride in a circle once, and that was the my horse experience.
You're basically an expert.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like dogs, but they aren't the same. So when Kari asked me to do this, I was like, okay, well, I'll check it out. So I had to see it first, because as not knowing and understanding horses, I had no idea why they would be able to do this job. Like why they would be able to do anything that would help out a person. I had no clue. So I went out and actually watched the process of a course going on. And this leader came up to me and said about the girl who was working with the horse, all this negative stuff. And she's a cutter, and she's this and she's that, da, da, da. And then I looked at her working with this horse, And I could see that was that child's true being right there in how she was working with that horse, and that they had a connection, and something clicked for me in that moment. So that was when I said, okay, yeah, no, I'm in for the journey here. Let's learn about horses. And it has been a steep learning curve in a lot of ways, but definitely the best leap of faith I've ever taken in my entire life, because getting to do this type of work every day and see people that were just like me who had no idea come in and have their mind blown every single time. It's just, it's the biggest blessing anyone can have.
And kudos to you too, Carolyn. That's a hugely brave move when you're like to go into, it is really like to go into such a foreign world and to see it and resonate with it is one thing, but to like actually go into the extent that you have I think it's amazing.
I'm was. Proud. Yeah, and she should be. Yeah. Originally it was just going to be for the techie stuff and the website and marketing, but then things happened in her life, and then we were able to get her all certified up, and then she started having to work with horses, and it's like, I'm so proud because, there's a major bonus with someone who has passion when they see what a horse can do. They learn so much faster how a horse speaks versus us horse people who've been around horses way longer. And we do a lot of horsemanship, and don't get me wrong, we need that. We always need that. But we sometimes forget to listen to the horse when we're always doing our horsemanship.
Automatic pilot.
Yeah, exactly. Where, Carolyn would see something different to say, yeah, but look at the way he did that there. Like, why did he do it like that? So she heard them speak better. So it was a win.
It never occurred to me that they weren't talking, because that was the only way I ever knew them, right?
Yeah.
So it does help on that side of things for sure. And then of course to have somebody with me that knows horses and how to work with them and everything to learn from at the same time, it's been pretty phenomenal.
Oh, it has been.
I walked around the back end of the horse for the first time, tight, like armpit to butt, and I was like, Kari, look at me. Look how close I am.
High five for the horsewoman over here. Yeah.
So proud.
Just so cool. I think the other pretty unique element of what you guys do as well is, yes, you train the facilitation and the EAL process, but as well, you're very nurturing in the aftermath, which is essentially like, it's one thing to become qualified in something, as I'm sure so many of us know out there. It's completely another thing to be successful in business with it, because there are elements that people don't have, skills that people aren't even aware of, to kind of be able to step into that space. So what's involved in your certification process within that incorporates that?
Well, we always have our famous line that says, we will never divorce you. You can divorce us, but we're never going to leave you as long as in your career and in your certification, you're doing your mandated pieces that would make logical sense that you would want, then we're always with you. So we are there morning, noon, and night, more or less, in a beautiful business set up globally. And we did it for this specific reason. I had no idea how to make this thing roll when I first became certified. I have always been an entrepreneur, and I didn't have a clue that it would not be the same way as just being an entrepreneur. It was not the same, because you have a living being involved, and it's different in how people are looking at it.
Yeah.
So when I was asked to become an instructor, now I thought, okay, if I'm going to be an instructor, that means our name is attached to it. We will never let people try to figure out how to do this.
It's too hard.
It's way too hard. And it's not right to me. If you're going to certify people and you got the name and the backing, you want them to be successful, because of all the great stories we've just talked about. We need people globally to help human beings to be able to move forward. So we're going to be there for them, so that they don't have to do all the things we did wrong, because we did lots wrong.
It's like bashing our head into a brick wall for 3 years.
And
like,
I hear you. Even just in online business, or equestrian business in general, you don't come into it necessarily like it's usually what I find, like you're either the entrepreneurial side, like you're talking about, Kari, but then there's skills and understandings and even like ways that people are looking for things which aren't common to your usual, business world or whatever it is that's happening. Or the other side where you're super skilled from a horsing perspective, but like the promotion, marketing, all of that is like a completely different language. So like merging those two together is a real art form. I know the amount of hot sweats I've come out in over tech issues are countless.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I mean, from a strictly business point of view as well, for us to be successful, we have to make sure that all of the people we certify are successful.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to help.
You're just making money doing certifications that mean dickety-doo-dah, dickety-yay.
And that's short-lived. Eventually it gets around that, I took that certification. Oh, what are you doing with it? Nothing. Then we haven't done anything. So
I'm doing a $14.99 psych course online that goes for 4 hours that I'm hoping is good.
I wonder if they'll support me after all my questions.
I'm done. Yeah.
The other thing that we also do for our certified facilitators as well is we know there's no way you can be an expert in 5 days. It is not even in God's green earth possible. But we also know as human beings, we have very busy lives. So we can't expect people to come and take a certification that takes 6 months. So what we do after the 5 days is we always give them the online training review. So it's a 4-month online course just for the first 4 days. They take the course. That's how much we cram into their psyche as they're doing that. No,
so we blow their mind. But it's not fair to expect them to be able to retain all of that. We can deliver it in the best way that we can, so they have the experiences to draw from, but they still need all the reminders, right? So we have that ability to go online, look at all of the theory pieces. Plus we have a group that is phenomenal of all of our facilitators across the globe. So that's Denmark to Australia to United States to Canada. All of us are in this online group, and we truly are a family. And I know that doesn't sound like a real business way to say it, but we are
professional.
Yeah. We are a beautiful family who genuinely wants the other ones to succeed. So we help each other. We build each other up. When somebody writes in there, oh my gosh, I had a program, I didn't know, I think I did it wrong, then they've got a whole bunch of people commenting, oh my gosh, this happened to me, or we'll support you in this way, or I did this once. Like it really is a phenomenal group of human beings that are supportive. Yeah.
And even to retake the course again, we have no problem. If you want to come back for a training, come facilitate, come and sit in and do the whole course again, because this is what you do to help people to move forward, and moving together, helping each other, no secrets. That is how you work as a team in the world. Yeah. That is just a bonus.
And that's how we get to the end game of having everywhere around the world, people having access to work with horses to be able to improve their lives. Yep.
That's sign me up. Already have. So that's.
Let's come retake it in Canada.
Yeah. I'm like, Canada, yes. I think I'm in.
You can come to Robin and Warwick Schiller's. We're going to be there in a couple of weeks.
Just drop everything.
Yeah, just drop everything.
I mean, that is how I roll. That as has been how my life has panned out so far. I'm like, drop and go. Let's make it work. Yeah. So awesome. So for those of us sitting out there that are like, man, these two women, apart from wanting them to adopt me, how can I work with them or find out more about EAL? Where is the best place for them to go?
The website is probably the best place. There is a plethora of information on there, and that's www.equineconnection.ca. So that's connection, singular, not plural. .ca.
Perfect. And I'll put it in the show notes as well, so people can click and direct if they need to without having to find things.
You're beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much for today. This was super fun.
That was
so
super
great to talk to you.
I love seeing your beautiful face.
You too. The love fest continues. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, Jane, for having us on.
How awesome are they? If you want to get in touch with Kari or Carolyn or find out more about Equine Connection, you can jump on their website at equineconnection.ca, and I will put a link directly to that on the show notes on my website. If it's me you're after, confidentrider.online is the place to find me. Have a great rest of your day, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again next week.